A one storyteller presents yet another gripping tale, one that will leave you absolutely speechless. This is a powerful story of justice, identity, and the shocking downfall of a corrupt officer who thought he was untouchable. He believed he could do whatever he pleased, manipulate the system, and walk away without consequences. But he had no idea who he had crossed. Buckle up, because this is a roller coaster of emotions you do not want to miss. The courtroom hummed with hushed whispers as people found their seats, eager to witness the hearing of Officer Greg Lawson. His name was well known, spoken in fear and disgust by those who had encountered his ruthless version of justice. For years, he had used his badge as a weapon, tormenting minorities, twisting the law to fit his own agenda, and believing himself immune to consequences. But today was different. The power had shifted. The tables had turned. In the front row sat a woman, calm, poised, and radiating a quiet authority so intense that even the judge stole a glance in her direction. Her name, Maya Sinclair. To the crowd, she was just another black woman seeking justice. To Greg Lawson, she was simply a name on a report, a victim of his unchecked power. But what he didn't realize was who she really was. Greg adjusted his uniform as he took the stand, his confidence as solid as ever. He had walked away from worse situations before, so what was one more case? The defense attorney listed the accusations: unlawful use of force, racial profiling, excessive aggression. Greg smirked. Words. Just words. He'd heard it all before. Then Maya Sinclair stood. And the air in the courtroom shifted. 3 months earlier, it had been a quiet night. Maya was walking home from a late meeting, the streets empty, peaceful. Then, flashing red and blue lights shattered the silence, flooding the pavement with an eerie glow. She knew better than to panic. Hands visible, she turned as a patrol car pulled up beside her. Ooh. Hands where I can see them. Greg Lawson's voice was sharp, commanding. His hand already rested on his holster. Maya frowned but complied. "Officer, is there a problem?" "You match the description of a suspect," Greg said without hesitation. Maya had heard this story before. "And what description is that?" she asked, her voice steady. Greg sneered. "Black. Female. Alone at night." Before she could respond, he grabbed her arm, twisting it behind her back. A sharp pain shot through her shoulder as she winced. "You have no right." "I have every right." Greg cut her off, shoving her against his patrol car. "You people always think you can talk back." That was his mistake. He assumed she was powerless. Maya didn't resist. She let him cuff her. Let him throw her into the back of his squad car. Let him take her to the station, toss her into holding like she was nothing. And she remained silent, because she was waiting. The next morning, the station chief received a phone call. And that one call sent the entire department into chaos. Within an hour, Maya was released, without charge. Greg was summoned to the captain's office. He walked in with a smirk, expecting a minor reprimand at worst. Maybe a lecture. Maybe some paperwork. Nothing more. But the captain's face was pale. "Officer Lawson, do you have any idea who you arrested last night?" Greg scoffed. "Some random woman who got mouthy." The captain slammed a file onto the desk. "That random woman is Maya Sinclair, federal prosecutor, Harvard graduate, and the lead investigator on the corruption task force, the one building a case against dirty cops like you." The color drained from Greg's face. Back in the courtroom, Maya stepped toward the witness stand, locking eyes with Greg. "Officer Lawson," she began, her voice even controlled. "Do you remember the night of June 14th? Greg shifted uncomfortably. "I don't recall the details." Maya's lips curled slightly. "Let me refresh your memory." She turned toward the judge. "Your Honor, I have video footage." A hush fell over the room. Then the screen lit up. There it was, crystal clear. Greg's voice. His face. His hands twisting Maya's arms. His sneer. His words, vile, racist, undeniable. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. The jury whispered amongst themselves. The judge's expression darkened. Maya turned back to Greg. "Do you recall now?" Greg swallowed. For the first time, his confidence cracked. The trial stretched on for 2 long weeks. Witness after witness came forward. Victims, families, people who had suffered at the hands of Greg Lawson's so-called law enforcement. Each testimony painted a damning picture of a man who had hidden behind his badge for far too long. And in the end, the verdict rang out. Guilty on all counts. Greg's world collapsed. Maya stood victorious, watching as officers, his former colleagues, placed him in handcuffs. This time he was the one who was powerless. Cameras flashed. Reporters scrambled to capture the moment. Maya turned to them, knowing that this case wasn't just about one bad cop. It was about sending a message. Justice is not blind, and those who abuse their power will fall. But this was only the beginning. The media erupted. News outlets ran headline after headline, exposing the deep-seated corruption that Maya had been fighting for years. The police department scrambled to control the narrative, issuing public statements about reform. Maya wasn't fooled. One conviction didn't mean the war was over. It was just another battle won. Greg's fellow officers watched in fear. Because they knew Maya wasn't stopping here. More names would be revealed. More cases would be reopened. And those who thought they were untouchable, they were about to learn the hard way. Nobody is above the law. Maya had spent years gathering evidence against officers like Greg. With his conviction, she had even more power to keep digging. Old records were unsealed. Forgotten cases resurfaced. Families of victims reached out, desperate for justice. And behind bars, Greg's so-called brothers in blue abandoned him. He was no longer an officer, no longer above the system. He was just another criminal. And as Maya pressed forward, exposing more names, uncovering more truths, one thing became clear. She was unstoppable. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. This has been another powerful story brought to you by A1 Storyteller. The world is full of injustice. But stories like these remind us that truth always comes to light. If this story gripped you, if it made you think, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay strong, stay aware, and never stop fighting for what's right.